Full day of eating on a doctor-approved diabetic meal plan. If you're tired of hearing just eat clean with no context, this video walks you through a real diabetic meal plan built like a doctor would build it, with precise macros, glucose logic, and meal timing that actually works in daily life. We'll cover exactly what to eat in a full day: breakfast, lunch, dinner, and snacks, all designed to stabilize post-meal glucose, control appetite, and match how real people live. And because there's no such thing as a one-size-fits-all plan, I'll show you how to adjust each meal, whether you're on metformin, insulin, or an SGLT2, without risking late-day crashes. Then, in the final 90 seconds, I'll show you a 3-minute method I use to catch hidden glucose spikes, the kind that don't show up in A1C or CGM alerts, but quietly erode control. Most people never track this until complications appear. Let's start with breakfast, because your first 90 minutes can shape your next 12 hours. Number 1, breakfast. Let's start the day right, because what you eat in the first 90 minutes after waking up, it doesn't just feed you, it sets the rhythm for your blood sugar all day long. Think of it like setting the thermostat. If you overshoot it in the morning, you'll spend the rest of the day trying to cool things down. Here's the breakfast: a bowl of steel-cut oats, about 30 grams of carbs worth, 1 boiled egg, a tablespoon of chia seeds, 50 grams of fresh blueberries, and a light sprinkle, just 1 teaspoon of ground cinnamon. Simple, affordable, easy to prep. But more importantly, this isn't just healthy, it's strategic. Let's break it down, not just what's on the plate, but why it works. Why steel-cut oats? Not all oats are created equal. Instant oats are like paper towels, fast to break down, fast to spike blood sugar. Steel-cut oats, on the other hand, are more like braided rope. They take longer to digest, which means a slower, more stable rise in blood glucose. This matters, especially if you're on basal insulin or trying to manage post-meal glucose without a rapid-acting dose. What about the chia seeds? That tablespoon of chia? It's doing more than adding crunch. It's adding soluble fiber, the kind that forms a gel in your stomach. Imagine a traffic jam in your gut. That gel slows down how quickly sugar moves from your stomach into your bloodstream. In scientific terms, it slows gastric emptying. In real life, it means your glucose doesn't jump off a cliff right after you eat. And the blueberries? Blueberries offer a natural sweetness, plus antioxidants that support vascular health. At 50 grams, it's enough to feel indulgent, but not enough to spike you. Why cinnamon? Cinnamon's a bonus. Some small studies, even cited by the ADA, suggest that cinnamon might help improve insulin sensitivity. Is it a miracle? No. But is it safe, flavorful, and potentially helpful? Yes. And in diabetes care, sometimes a 2% improvement, done consistently, makes a huge difference over time. And the egg? The boiled egg rounds things out. 10 grams of protein, some healthy fat. Protein keeps you full and helps blunt the glucose rise even more. The fat slows digestion, giving your bloodstream time to handle the carbs more smoothly. Now, if you're on basal insulin only, here's the clinical pearl. This kind of breakfast, low glycemic load, rich in fiber and protein, often doesn't need a bolus insulin dose. You're feeding your body, not overwhelming it, and you're setting yourself up to avoid that dreaded mid-morning crash. All right, here's a quick quiz, and it might stir up some debate. Which one of these healthy breakfast options actually causes a faster blood sugar spike than a candy bar in many people with type 2 diabetes? A, banana. B, a bowl of instant oatmeal. C, a slice of whole wheat toast. D, a glass of orange juice. Drop your answer in the comments and tell me why you picked it. I'll pin the real answer with the science behind it right after this video. The result might seriously surprise you, especially if you've been told these are safe choices. But, and here's the turn: mid-morning is where a lot of people slip up. They skip the snack or grab the wrong one. Blood sugar starts dipping, cravings creep in, and by lunch, you're chasing numbers again. Let's not fall into that trap. I'll show you the right kind of mid-morning snack, the one that keeps you stable without adding chaos. Coming up next, number 2, mid-morning snack. Now, here's the part most people underestimate: the snack between breakfast and lunch. Skip it and you risk a mid-morning dip. Grab the wrong one, like a granola bar or low-fat yogurt, and you might spike, crash, then crave your way into a lunchtime roller coaster. So here's a better option. It's simple and strategic. Your snack, 1 small apple, about 20 grams of carbs, and 10 almonds. That's it. But don't let the simplicity fool you. This combo is built on real metabolic science. Let's break down the logic. The apple gives you natural sugar, sure, but also soluble fiber. That slows digestion, giving your body time to respond with insulin. Now the almonds? They add fat and fiber, which together act like a buffer. They coat the apple's sugar like padding on a sharp corner. Instead of that glucose hitting your bloodstream like a punch, it rolls in gently, giving your body a chance to handle it. Think of it like this. If an apple alone is a car merging onto a freeway at full speed, then adding almonds is like putting in a ramp meter. It smooths the flow, avoids the traffic jam, and prevents a crash later. And there's another bonus. Protein and fat help you feel full longer. That means you're much less likely to overeat at lunch or snack impulsively when your energy dips around noon. Now here's a quick pro tip. Right after this snack, do a short walk, just 10 to 15 minutes. Even that small movement activates your GLUT4 receptors. Think of them as sugar doorways in your muscles, and they pull glucose out of your bloodstream, even without insulin. In other words, the snack fuels you, the walk uses it. That's harmony. Want to test this for yourself? I recommend checking your blood sugar 60 minutes after this combo, especially if you're tracking postprandial numbers. In most cases, you'll see a nice flat curve. But if not, it might be time to revisit your insulin timing or look at your meds more closely with your doctor. Okay, here's a tricky one. Which snack is more likely to spike your blood sugar if eaten alone, with no protein or fat to slow it down? A. 1 medium banana. C. 1 low-fat granola bar. D. A handful of seedless grapes. What's your answer? And more importantly, why? I'll pin the full explanation in the comments, and trust me, it's not as obvious as it seems. You might be surprised which one hits harder than you'd expect. And now, on to lunch, where the stakes get a little higher, and so does the temptation to overdo it. Let's keep it stable. Number 3, lunch. Lunchtime. For most people, it's just a break in the day. But for someone managing type 2 diabetes, lunch is a pivot point. Get it right, and your afternoon stays smooth. Get it wrong, and you spend the next 6 hours correcting a glucose spike you didn't see coming. So here's a lunch that works with your body, not against it. Grilled salmon, about 120 grams. Sautéed spinach, seasoned lightly. Half a cup of cooked quinoa, not a mountain, just enough. And on the side, a fresh salad of tomato and cucumber dressed with extra virgin olive oil. Altogether, you're looking at roughly 35 grams of carbs, 28 grams of protein, 16 grams of healthy fats, and 7 grams of fiber. Let's talk about why this meal does more than fill you up. It stabilizes you. The salmon. Salmon is one of the few proteins with what we call a low insulin index. It doesn't push your pancreas into a sprint. At the same time, it's loaded with omega-3 fatty acids, which do 2 critical things for diabetics: reduce inflammation, support heart health. A big deal, considering the cardiovascular risks of type 2 diabetes. The quinoa. Now let's talk carbs, because yes, they're allowed. Quinoa isn't no carb, but it's smart carb. Compared to brown rice, quinoa has more fiber, more protein, and a moderate glycemic index. That means slower digestion, fewer spikes, and better satiety. Plus, it has a mild, nutty flavor that plays beautifully with the salmon. The salad with olive oil. Now this part's subtle, but important. The tomatoes and cucumbers provide freshness and water content, sure. But it's the olive oil that does the real work here. Olive oil helps your body absorb carotenoids, natural antioxidants found in red and orange veggies. These compounds have anti-inflammatory effects, which matter more than you might think, because nerve pain, blood vessel damage, insulin resistance, all of it lives on a spectrum of inflammation. Medication insight. Now, if you're on metformin alone, here's what this meal usually does. A gentle, predictable 20 to 40 milligrams per deciliter rise in glucose after eating. Totally acceptable. But if you're spiking more than that, it's not just lunch that needs tweaking. It's dinner that may be overcompensating the wrong way. Now remember, at the very end of this video, I'll walk you through a 3-minute method I use to catch hidden post-meal spikes. Lunch is a great time to test it, especially if your numbers look normal, but your A1C tells another story. And that's why glucose tracking isn't just about one meal. It's about how meals talk to each other across the day. So let's keep that curve stable and move to the next decision point, your afternoon snack. It's the one meal people tend to skip, but skipping it often comes at a cost. Let's talk about why. Number 4, mid-afternoon snack. Here's a habit that seems small, but can quietly protect you from big glucose problems later in the day. The mid-afternoon snack. Not flashy, not trendy, but this one decision could be the difference between a calm dinner or a blood sugar crash at 5 p.m. Here's the snack: 1 boiled egg, a cup of decaf green tea or cinnamon tea, and if you're still a little hungry, half an avocado is a perfect addition. Let's talk about why this works, especially for people on sulfonylureas or basal insulin. First, the egg. It's protein and fat in one tidy, portable package. That means it keeps you full, helps stabilize your energy, and prevents the dreaded afternoon fog that makes you reach for carbs. The fat and protein also help protect against reactive hypoglycemia, a sudden drop in blood sugar that can sneak up late in the afternoon, especially if your earlier meals were light or your meds are peaking. Now, the tea. You don't need caffeine here. In fact, decaf green tea or cinnamon tea gives you something warm and comforting without triggering a late-day crash. Cinnamon may also offer a tiny boost in insulin sensitivity, but more importantly, the tea itself keeps you hydrated, which helps with glucose metabolism too. And if you're still hungry, avocado gives you fiber, potassium, and healthy fats, all without spiking your glucose one bit. Here's the key idea. This isn't just a snack, it's a buffer. It fills the gap between lunch and dinner in a stable way. This snack might seem small, but skipping it is one of the fastest ways to ruin your dinner curve. A lot of people think they're saving calories and then end up overeating, spiking, or crashing right before bed. In the next section, I'll show you how to build a dinner that's satisfying, blood sugar safe, and designed to keep your glucose flat even while you sleep. Most people get dinner wrong. Let's make sure you don't. Number 5, dinner. Dinner matters more than people realize, because it doesn't just close your day, it opens your night. And for people managing type 2 diabetes, your night glucose numbers influence everything. Your sleep quality, your fasting sugar the next morning, even how well your medication works the next day. So let's build a dinner that works with your body, not against it. Here's what's on the plate: a baked chicken thigh, skin on, a generous scoop of roasted cauliflower, half a cup of mashed lentils, and a small side of mixed leafy greens. It's hearty, it's satisfying. But here's the best part: it's metabolically quiet. We're looking at around 25 grams of carbs, 30 grams of protein, 15 grams of healthy fat, and 8 grams of fiber. Simple numbers, big impact. Why chicken thigh with the skin? First, let's stop fearing fat when it's working for us. Chicken thigh, especially with the skin on, brings more flavor, yes, but also more fat, which slows digestion. Slower digestion is a more gradual rise in glucose. That's exactly what we want in the evening, because nothing disrupts your night like a post-dinner spike that crashes 2 hours later. Why roasted cauliflower? Cauliflower is a low-carb filler. It adds volume, texture, and fiber without adding glucose load. It keeps you full, which means you won't be tempted to snack later, especially on something regrettable. Why lentils? Lentils are one of the smartest carbs you can eat at night. They're extremely low glycemic index, high in resistant starch, which resists digestion in the small intestine, and they feed your gut microbiome, helping regulate insulin sensitivity over time. Plus, when mashed, they feel warm and comforting, like traditional carbs without the metabolic price. The side of leafy greens, light, crisp, and just enough bitter bite to round out the meal. They're more than just a garnish. Leafy greens support digestion, help with nutrient absorption, and offer magnesium, which plays a quiet but essential role in glucose control. Now, here's the part most people miss. This is the meal that sets up your overnight numbers. If you're on long-acting insulin, or even just watching your fasting glucose the next morning, dinner is your final opportunity to influence it. I recommend checking your blood sugar 2 hours after this meal. If you notice an unexplained drop, say you're at 95 and feeling a little off, it might mean one of two things. Your lentils were too low, or your fats were too low, and your body absorbed the meal too fast. Small adjustments like adding a little more oil or avocado can flatten that curve beautifully. And now, we've made it through the full day, but we're not done just yet. Coming up next, a 3-minute method I teach my patients to catch hidden spikes, the kind that silently push your A1C up, even when your glucose monitor says you're doing fine. It's simple, it's science-backed, and it can change how you understand your own body. Let's finish strong. Number 6, bedtime plus monitoring insight. Dinner's done. Now there's just one small move that can give you a major advantage overnight, especially if you're on basal insulin. If you're still a little hungry, here's a gentle optional bedtime snack. Half a cup of plain Greek yogurt, lightly dusted with cinnamon. It's low in sugar, high in protein, and has just enough fat to keep your blood sugar stable through the night, without causing a spike. But this next part? It's where your glucose insights get deeper. Not from new meds, but from smarter monitoring. Here's what I teach my patients to do. After any major meal, especially lunch or dinner, take 3 glucose readings, one at 60 minutes, one at 90 minutes, and one at 2 hours. Plot those numbers across 3 days, side by side. Don't just look at each one in isolation. Look for the pattern. It will show you where your true spike is happening, long before your CGM does. CGMs are great, but they have a 10 to 15-minute delay, and many only alert when the spike is already happening. Your meter, used this way, can be more precise than the tech. Now here's something most people don't know. In 2024, the American Diabetes Association shifted emphasis toward time in range, not just A1C. That means it's not just about averages, it's about how long you spend in safe glucose zones each day. And here's where it gets more interesting. When it comes to mixed meals, the insulin index, not just the glycemic index, can be a better predictor of what your body actually does. In short, 2 meals with the same carbs may look identical on paper, but one triggers far more insulin behind the scenes. Learning to spot your body's pattern is what keeps you one step ahead. So there you have it. One full day on a meal plan that's doctor-approved, lab-verified, and built around real food you can actually find and enjoy. But here's what matters most. This isn't a strict blueprint. It's a flexible framework, built to be adapted, not copied. You can swap in local foods, you can experiment with portions. What matters is that you test, observe, and make it yours. If this video helped you understand your meals a little better, or made you feel a little more in control of your numbers, consider giving it a like, and maybe even subscribing for more doctor-guided plans like this one. And if you know someone, a friend, a parent, or even a patient who's been overwhelmed by diabetic diets, feel free to share this with them. You never know what quiet encouragement can turn someone's day around.